I wouldn't really say there is any such thing as a principal question. I do understand what you're referring to. You're referring to questions that have principles in the answer choices. So each answer choice is a principle, or even sometimes the passage itself is a principle. But the reason I wouldn't think of them as principal questions is that you can have a question that gives you 5 principles in the answer choices, but it's asking you to strengthen the argument. And then you can have another principal question, or a question that involves principles, in which they're asking you which principle is supported or most closely conforms to the principle in the passage. That's actually a supported question, so it's like top down. So the problem with focusing on question types as principal question types is that you can miss the more important thrust of the question, which is, are you asking me to strengthen this argument, or are you asking me to weaken it? So you may see a connection between principle and your mistakes when really it's not about principles maybe so much as it is about strengthening questions. And if you recognized it as a strengthening question, or you recognized it as a supported question, that could help you see it in a new light and get it right. One thing about principles, if it helps, is that principles are just rules. So in life, we may say that when Sally was late last week, she failed to do a lot of her work, right? Okay. And so that's like a specific example. And then we might extrapolate from that, being late is unproductive. That is a principle. So principles tend to be more general. So if you're struggling with questions that have principles, you might want to ask yourself, does this principle fit the situation that we're talking about? Are there general ideas within that principle that match up with the passage? And so when you're down between two, it's probably the case that the wrong answer doesn't quite fit. It's using a more general word, but that word doesn't fit the specific situation that they were talking about, and you missed that word.